Well, hello, and welcome to Trash with a capital T, where we give trashy books and movies the love they truly deserve. And some deserve more than others. I'm your host, Bobby. New videos are posted here every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And, during the video, if you like what you see, give the video a like, because, it makes me feel good and it helps the channel. And if you want to see more of my content, subscribe or check the channel page. I've got a ton of videos already up, and I'm posting new stuff pretty regularly. I like being consistent. So, there's always something entertaining to watch. Today, we are kind of staying in the same wheelhouse that we've been talking about, which is middle grade fiction, but we are jumping genres. We are jumping over to fantasy. I wanted to try this out because fantasy as a genre is one that I struggle with. It is one that I'm very interested in. It is one that I've always wanted to kind of get into, but when I actually get to the books, I have a tough time kind of getting through some of the world building, pacing issues. I couldn't even explain it to you, but also because some fantasy books can be quite intimidating, especially if it's a genre you're not comfortable in. Pick up a book like I have the first Wheel of Time book. It's a chunker. A lot of these books are very thick and very dense. So I thought, well, let's find something that it might be an easier entry point. I've had luck with some fantasy, Terry Pratchett's books, the Discworld books. Those totally in my wheelhouse. The sense of humor, the character-driven stories, the way he builds his world naturally. But it is a well-built world. It doesn't feel hodgepodgey or cobbled together. So kind of finding something that fits that. The other fantasy world that I have always loved, I grew up with watching movies about this world, and I've even read some of the books as an adult, is the world of Oz. A one that we are all very familiar with now, thanks to the Wicked films being so successful. And obviously, the original Wizard of Oz is a classic film and classic book. So when I was looking for stuff within the middle grade space to kind of focus on, to look at, I ran across the School for Wicked Witches. I ran across this because I follow a bunch of former contestants from the Great British Bake Off on Instagram, and one of them is friends with the author, Will Taylor, and he mentioned the book on his Instagram feed. So I was like, oh, you know what? That's perfect. Let's check it out. And I am very glad I did. So, School for Wicked Witches, Book 1 by Will Taylor, follows a young witch named Ava, who is from the west side of Oz. Lives in the desert with her very large family. They are poor. They collect moss that is used to create bricks. And she learns that she has a magic power where she can manipulate water within the roots of these plants to help them grow faster. That's the start of it, at least. So she, because of her magic being detected, is taken to the West Oz Witch Academy, which is one of the most esteemed academies in all of Oz. Each cardinal direction, so North Oz, East Oz, South Oz, and West Oz, has a magical academy. And West Oz is kind of considered like the Harvard of the magical academies. Then they let you know it all the time. They are also known as having the fewest number of wicked witches coming out of their fold. They haven't had one in generations at this point. But Ava is going to screw all that up, because when she is asked to demonstrate her powers, things kind of go out of control, and she accidentally destroys all of the plant life within the school and does some damage to the buildings as well, and is promptly declared wicked and sent off to Swikwit, the School for Wicked Witches. I hope I said that right. Yes, I did. I've shot this like 3 times now for various reasons, and Swikwit, the name of that school, for some reason I can't say it correctly, but now I am. So she is sent to Swikwit, and while she is there, she learns that the school is not anything that she was told it was going to be. In fact, it is quite a magical and wonderful place that is hidden away so that these students, these very powerful students, can be taught to learn to use their magic. But unlike all the other schools, this one is not set up with a normal grade structure, and you are not there for a set period of time. You are there until the school deems you intelligent and wise enough to be released into the world. Whether you actually be wicked or you be good. That is dependent on you. And what it means to be wicked is not clear. It does not mean you are bad. It does not mean you are evil. It just means you may not be as structured or like all of the other manufactured witches coming out of the other schools. The problem is Ava doesn't see the school as this wonderful place where she can learn to harness her powers. Instead, she is determined to get out of Swiftwit and end up back at West Oz Academy where she is destined to be. And so to do this, she needs the help of some of her friends. At first, it's her friend Tina Bella. Tina Bella, yes. There are some goofy names, and that's an Oz thing too. So I kind of appreciated that. So her first friend there is her roommate Tina Bella, who is a very fiery, angry, kind of bossy girl from North Oz, I believe. And she is determined to find out why she was blacklisted and sent here so that someone set her up and that she's truly not wicked, although her personality tells me otherwise. Then later on, because Tina Bella turns out to be kind of a two-faced brat, she befriends a young boy there named Crow, who has actually been in the early stages of the hierarchy for several years. He refuses to move on because he is scared of what his power can do. The other boy that she befriends, Henry, is actually from West Oz Academy and accidentally gets pulled into Swiftwit because of an unfortunate series of events. They have a great adventure. It's them trying to get out of the school. It's lots of fun. Obviously, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers. This one took me a while to read, mostly not because of any fault of the book. I think fantasy just in general is harder. It tires my brain out a little faster while I'm reading it. But I enjoyed this one, especially once I figured out what Will Taylor was doing with the characters. And there were connections without being super obvious. There are connections to characters from the original Wizard of Oz. Obviously, Ava is connected to the original Wicked Witch of Oz. Wicked Witch of the West. So there are things that kind of connect her there. But there are other characters that have connections to the characters from the original story, but it's not glaringly obvious, so it takes a little bit for it to click in your head, like, oh, this is a reflection of this character. And I liked that. It paid homage to the original story without just retelling the original story. And obviously you get mention of the Emerald City, the Yellow Brick Road, all of that familiar stuff, but it really focuses on creating its own world. Now, it is funny, when I mentioned this book to my husband and I was describing it to him, he was like, it sounds like Harry Potter. And I have to admit, the plot description does give Harry Potter vibes. The book itself does not. It really does feel like an Oz book mixed with the humor, since I've already mentioned him, of Terry Pratchett. There's a lot of fun, goofy humor in here. I wish I could find it. There is a point where they are describing the levels of Swiftwit, where they're describing how you make your way through the school. Because they do not have set grades. Basically, they'll move you up in rank as they deem your growth. So it's not a 4-year plan. You could be there until you're 20. It depends on them deciding your strength level when it comes to your powers and your ability and judgment. But within these descriptions, there is actually some quite funny little jabs. And these things pop up throughout, but it's not overbearing, so it doesn't make the book feel too goofy. But there's you start at level 1, Nettle, Focus, first year basics, raising magical force, appearances, protection, staying focused, simple light magic, getting a handle on your wickedness, juggling, color, green. And that's where we meet Professor Mulch, who is this professor with these giant horns coming off of her head that have charms dangling from them, and she can pull the charms off and throw them out and they'll do fun stuff. There was one, level 2, Cobweb. Focus, advanced theory, elemental magic, summoning, weather, illusion, making wickedness work for you. Improv. Definitely a lesson you'll learn at the School for Wicked Witches. Color, gray. That is Professor Nightshade. Level 3, Cauldron. Focus, specialization, independent study, teaching seminars, the art of hiding wickedness. Pickleball. Color, copper. That's Professor Kentamasius Dust. And then the last level, the level where you are getting closest to being released from Swiftwit, is level 4, Broom. Focus. Mind your own business. Color, black. Teacher, Warden Threnody Pike. Term, until finished. And that humor, it's simple, it's goofy, but it does kind of set the tone for the entire book. And it uses... Oz is an interesting world. It's kind of similar to Wonderland from Alice in Wonderland, where you do have some established lore, but it is very malleable. It is a world of imagination. So unlike something like, and this is not a knock against these, unlike something like Lord of the Rings, where you have a lot of established lore, you have the similar, or I'm going to screw up saying it, but you have all of this established lore and this set world building. Oz has always kind of been whatever you can think up. If you want a giant talking bug who was grown big by a magnifying glass and who became extremely educated, you can have that. If you want a scarecrow with a pumpkin head who has mommy issues, you got it. You want a whole... there are some like established races and stuff like Winkies and the Munchkins and all of that stuff. But really, Oz is as far as your imagination can take it. So this kind of takes advantage of that and builds in some interesting stuff. We have some interesting future villains established here. I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to say where that shows up, but it was fun. You have one of the characters I really love is there is a gargoyle who kind of like flies the kids to Swiftwit because the school is like on an island surrounded by a boiling lake and hills of broken glass that if you try to walk on will shatter and cut you up. And these are some of the obstacles that the kids have to try and overcome to try and escape. Gurn, I think is his name. I'm double checking. Yeah, I believe it's Gurn. I might be wrong. I just don't feel like flipping through the book too much. But the characters that are established are Professor Mulch is really, really fun, and I like her interaction with Ava. Ava herself is actually a really fun character. And even though she is very determined to get out of the school, it's done in a way that keeps her likable. She never comes off as cruel or mean or dismissive, although she does have to make some calls that are questionable. And she might not always make the right choice, which I think is important for a book like this. You don't want your character to be an angel. She is technically and probably really wicked. And we have to learn what that means for that character, because wicked does not mean evil in this world. Wicked just means kind of complicated. And I enjoyed that. And obviously there's a heavy message of accepting yourself, finding your place in the world without compromising your integrity and who you are, which is an important message for kids' books. Do I think adults will enjoy this? I'm an adult. I enjoyed it. So yeah, it's possible. The writing is not kiddie. It doesn't write down. It writes very much to its audience as if it's like understanding that the audience can handle strong storytelling. Best comparison, like Series of Unfortunate Events is a perfect example of a kid's book that is not written just for kids, in the sense that it trusts that the reader is intelligent. It trusts that the reader can follow the story, but it'll guide them along if it feels they need it, just with like vocabulary and stuff like that. That's the kind of vibe I get here. This just feels like a really good fantasy story that's very fun and playful and kind of the Terry Pratchett spirit with using a very familiar world. And I enjoyed the heck out of it. Am I going to read book 2? Probably right away. Probably not. I have other stuff I want to read, and I kind of want to get into some more adult books for a little while. And by adult, I mean written for an adult audience, not adult. But I am glad I took the time to read this one. And I do plan on checking out more middle grade fantasy to try and get my brain into the mindset of like following more fantasy books. So if you guys got recommendations for middle grade or YA fantasy, leave them down in the comments. Maybe not so much romantasy, not so much that I dislike romantasy. I don't. I love romance novels. I love all of that. But more, that's just not where my brain's at right now. If I will check that out at some point, but like, I want to just kind of like get into fantasy first before I kind of throw in that romance angle. Doesn't mean a story can't have romance. It just isn't really the focus. All right. So I'm going to wrap this review up here. Definitely recommend School for Wicked Witches by Will Taylor. I think it was very fun. And the nice thing is, because these books are for kids, they tend to actually run pretty cheap. So I got this one for, I think, like $6, $7, brand new. So, it's not a high risk to check out. So, general housekeeping all over again. New videos are posted here every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you liked the video and you made it this far, give it a like. And, let me know in the comments what you think. And if you want me to check out more books like this. Or if there's anything specific you want me to check out. Specifically, if there's a fantasy book you think I'd enjoy going off of what I've talked about in the past. All right. So, here's my general sign off. Love what you love. Enjoy what you're reading and watching. And have an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.